वेलकम बैक टू द चैनल। और आज के वीडियो में हम लोग आचार्य प्रशांत की वीडियो पर रिएक्ट करने वाले हैं जिसका नाम है नो दिस एंड बी लिबरेटेड। लेट्स सी व्हाट्स देयर इन दिस वीडियो। 1 2 3 लेट्स बिगिन। ओके,
It's an overwhelming moment of joy to have my revered teacher, Acharya Prashant, come here at such a short notice and share his wisdom with you.
let me increase the playback speed so that because this video is long, 30 minutes. 1.5 will be good. 1.25. Let's go.
All. I've had the privilege of listening to him for past 1 year and also attending in-person Q&A questions, which have brought me profound clarity, and I've been able to make some very difficult changes, lifestyle changes, which have also been very strengthening. So it's my excitement to share this joy of clear seeing, which I have experienced listening to him with you all. And he agreed to come at such a short notice. So a short introduction is due. Acharya Prashant is an acclaimed authority on Vedanta, an author of over 100 books, including the bestseller Karma and Ananda, and a powerful voice of socio-spiritual awakening in the world today. After graduating from IIT Delhi, Acharya Prashant went on to qualify both UPSC and CAT in the same year. After 2 years at IIM Ahmedabad and a few years at corporate, he found himself a higher calling of spreading the ancient wisdom of Vedanta across the masses. And for that purpose, he founded his mission, which is at the forefront of creation of a new humanity through intelligent spirituality. As a response to the situation,
Acharya Prashant has done so many things in life. First, like IIT, then clearing UPSC, then CAT exam. Like all the things that which you ever dreamt of, Acharya Prashant has done that. So it's like commendable.
Mankind today finds itself in, Acharya Prashant has taken on the solemn project of bringing the essence of Vedanta to the world today. His calling is to bring,
I think we can skip the intro part.
the pure essence. Today, Acharya Prashant's movement has touched the life. Various figure like him has agreed to all.
Okay, let's go.
It's rare that a public figure like him has agreed to come to this setting where actually most of the people didn't know about him till almost yesterday. So that's very adventurous of you, Acharya-ji. Thank you for being here and welcome all of you and for the trust and showing up in such a little time as well. And I hope you will make the most of this gathering. It's an open, free-flowing Q&A session because as I told earlier, he responds to questions. And would you like to add something more?
No, that's a very generous invitation in the first place and a very kind introduction. Not audible? I'll become audible. I warm up as I proceed. So, just thanks. Huh? So let's just begin and
let's begin without wasting any time.
I'm not quite the person as has been read out. I like to be open, informal. I think that would be the best use of this evening. Please.
Continue.
Actually, this is my 9th day on the trot. And here the weather is far better than in Delhi. But that meant that the throat has taken a beating. So, थोड़ी सी ठंड लगी हुई है. But I'll be loud enough.
Good evening. I'm Deepak. What interested me in the brief that Neeta shared was socio-spiritual. Like I wanted to understand how you place socio and spiritual together and your perspective on that, because that interests me a lot.
A couple of ways. In fact, even I had not thought about this combo, socio-spiritual. But you see, first thing, spirituality cannot be a purely individual thing or a personal pursuit.
Okay.
It cannot be that way ever. And it especially cannot be that in today's times. A person who says he or she is spiritual and does nothing to affect the wider social conditions as they prevail today.
Like he's trying to say that if you're spiritual but if you're not contributing socially, then you're not spiritual at all and you should not call yourself spiritual. I think that's what he meant. Let's see.
Is obviously not fulfilling her social responsibility, and can't be called spiritual either.
Hmm.
So
Ki, you're not taking any responsibility. You're just sitting inside your home and close and with your eye closed, you're thinking that, oh, I'm so spiritual. I'm liberated from this worldly possession. No, you're not. That's what Acharya Prashant is trying to say.
what has happened is that conventionally a lot of people have had the idea that spirituality can be about finding your own self in a corner or trying to gain peace just for
Hmm.
yourself
Hmm.
through some kind of practice or sadhana
Hmm.
or swadhyay, reading. So for a lot of people, it has been something very, very limited to themselves. Now, if it is limited to you, then it's lot to do with your personal and specific welfare.
Hmm.
And that's the exact definition of ego. It wants only its own
Hmm.
welfare. So any kind of
In the name
personal
of spirituality, you're fulfilling your ego. That means.
betterment cannot be the aim of spirituality.
Okay.
I'll get better. I'll get better for myself because I have been
Hmm.
facing stress or anxiety. So I want to get rid of it. Hence,
Become better and people around you make them better also. I think that would be the somewhat
I
definition.
become spiritual and maybe I do attain a degree of success
Hmm.
via spirituality in terms of my personal welfare. Now that is not adhyatma. That is not adhyatma. Limited atma we all have. That itself is called ahankar. Adhyatma means at in the broadest sense possible. Adhi plus atma. And adhi refers to
Hmm.
broadness, vistar, expanse.
Hmm.
So going to the Himalayas and
Hmm.
finding refuge in a cave
Hmm.
and discovering your own
That's
peace.
a very self-serving way of spirituality. That doesn't create any difference in the society that you're living in. And Acharya Prashant is talking about that only. Like if your spirituality is not social or if it's just for yourself, then it is not spirituality.
And letting the world be.
Hmm.
That just cannot be what spirituality is. So in that
Hmm.
sense, socio spiritual. One could look at that combo from another angle as well, but I think this one would suffice. The spiritual person has to first of all see that what corrupts the mind beyond obviously the biological disposition is the social factors that act on the mind.
Okay.
So how can you just overlook the state of the society and seek something especially and personally for yourself? And that is
When you're surrounded by social influences, when you are being constantly sensitive to being exploited by social influences, then how you can say that I'll sit alone in a room and then I'll attain some sort of state? So it's a very hypocritical thing to say. Yeah.
if you want to go into the roots of it, that is also where Advait Vedant comes from.
Hmm.
Dvait is the fundamental illusion, duality.
Hmm.
And duality basically means that you have taken the world as real. You have conferred the status of reality on something beyond yourself. And because you take it to be real, you allow it to influence you.
Hmm.
That's the fundamental illusion. So, the society, by which we mean the world, everything that surrounds us, has to be definitely looked into because it does influence the mind, because that's the way we are conditioned to believe in duality. And if it does influence the mind and you really do want the welfare of mind or purity or peace of mind, then you have to go into the society in terms of firstly studying it, secondly in terms of affecting it, changing it. So yeah, socio spiritual. Otherwise there is no need to speak or to write or to do anything.
Hmm. If you can be spiritual alone, then why do you write or why do you do anything in the environment, in the outside world? If everything lies within you, then what's the need of going out there in the world? So yeah, it's a matter of thinking. Like we should reconsider what spirituality is for you.
One could comfortably settle down in his own peaceful and realized corner, if anything like that exists,
Hmm.
and simply enjoy life. You see, the best ones have also been social activists. Kabir Sahab, the one I really love, is remembered both as an icon of spirituality and also as a social reformer. So you cannot be spiritual without being a social reformer. That's my take.
Nice.
I can resonate with what you're saying, so thank you for that perspective.
I mean, that tree is being hacked down, and here I am meditating in my corner. Doesn't look honest to me.
It's a great perspective. That if you're ignoring the worldly problems and you're just sitting in a corner of a room meditating and being happy, so actually you are just, spiritually masturbating, I would say. Because I don't know, like I just loved the explanation of Acharya Prashant.
This is just a follow-on question to what you were saying. You said duality is taking the world to be real. Could you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, to believe in duality is to believe in two realities. And we take those two realities as myself and the world. I exist, I am real. And then it becomes an imperative to call this sofa set as real. Because if I'm real, what am I sitting on? So this is the I and this is the world. And both have to be concurrently taken as real. And that's the reason the saints laughed at it. Bhai re, Dui Jagdish kahan se aaya? How come you have two realities? Dui Jagdish means two truths. How come you have these two truths? If truth can be one, how come there is this and there is this? And that's the duality we are genetically conditioned to believe in. The child is born. It takes itself as real. It takes the mother as real. So then the purpose of life is to somehow get rid of that illusion. And it's not for the sake of ideological purity or something that duality has to be overcome. It's just that duality is experiential suffering. It's not ideological, it's experiential. If you continue to believe in duality, you will continue to believe in the truthfulness of the world. What happens when I take the world to be real? I start expecting things from it that one can expect only from the truth. For example, reliability. If the world is real, it must be reliable. If the world is real,
So, like the very reason to not believe in duality is suffering. Because if you believe in duality, then it will cause suffering to you. कि अगर मैं और वर्ल्ड ये दो चीज में डुअलिटी देखता हूँ तो फिर मैं एक्सपेक्टेशंस भी रखूंगा वर्ल्ड से, लेकिन मैं दोनों को एक ही देखता हूँ, अगर सपोज वेगली सेंस में बोल रहा हूँ, अगर मैं दोनों को एक ही देखता हूँ तो मैं इतनी शायद एक्सपेक्टेशन ना रखूं और डिजायर्स ना रखूं. अगर मैं ये देख लूं स्पिरिचुअली कि आउट वर्ल्ड और मैं ये एक ही हैं, तो क्या मेरे पास कुछ डिजायर होगा? मैं डिजायर करता ही इसलिए हूं क्योंकि मुझे वो बाहर की चीज लगती है, अपने अंदर वो चीज नहीं है. इसका मतलब हम अपने अंदर होल नहीं है. जब तक हम डिस्टिंग्विश करते रहेंगे कि ये बाहर की चीज है मैं, तब तक मैं पूरा नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि बाहर की चीज मैंने आइडेंटिफाई कर ली है. और तब तक मुझे लगता रहेगा कि मुझे बाहर की चीज चाहिए, क्योंकि मुझे ये नहीं लगता कि हम दोनों एक हैं, हम दोनों अलग अलग हैं. इसका मतलब मैं शायद कहीं ना कहीं अधूरा हूँ, तो मुझे बाहर की चीज चाहिए. यहीं से डिजायर आता है लाइफ में. तो आचार्य प्रशांत यही बोल रहे हैं कि जब तक तुम डुअलिटी में बिलीव करते रहोगे तब तक तुम्हारे अंदर डिजायर्स होंगे, एक्सपेक्टेशन होंगे, और क्या हो सकते हैं? डिजायर्स, एक्सपेक्टेशन, फियर भी होगा कि वो चला ना जाए. दैट्स इट.
must be eternal. If the world is real, then I could trust it and expect it to be as it looks to me. The thing is, the world deceives us on all counts. It is just not how it appears to be. That's one end of the duality, the deceptive end. The other and more vicious end is this one. Because I am the one that takes the world as real. Not only is the world unreliable, first of all, I am doubly unreliable. Do we know ourselves? Are we trustworthy in the first place? Do our resolutions hold good? Do we stay committed to what matters? And the world is not the conscious entity. The conscious entity is this side. Purush and Prakriti. We are the conscious ones. We decided to take a fundamentally unreliable entity as reliable. So out of these two poles, which one is the most vicious? The more one. This one. So that's what duality is. That's how we all
Wow.
live. I mean,
Nice.
that's how we are born. And that's the reason the lifetime has been told by saints to be a precious opportunity towards redemption. You're not here to seek happiness in the world, because there cannot be anything real in something that you yourself project all the time. You are here rather to seek liberation from all this that appears to be. Obviously, using all this, because there is no other way. So they say use all this, and use all this in a way that its real nature shows up. And when its real nature shows up, then you
Then
can
it becomes very easy to detach yourself from this. As long as you're considering it to be real, it will be very hard to detach from these things. So when you see the real nature of things, when you see that the things are very temporary, people are temporary, then you get detached to them. If you consider a person who you love will permanently stay in your life, will behave in a way that is, that is accepted by you. If you believe that, then you'll continue to suffer, because people are people, things are things, things are temporary, people are people act according to their own will. They'll not be sitting around and watching you to tell what to do. If you understand this, then you will be liberated, you will be free from the expectations.
live amid all this, but in a liberated way.
Can we not understand the real as something that is the real or the truth as something that is ever changing, ever unreliable, ever non eternal? But that doesn't make it not true. It doesn't make it unreal. It is real, and that is the nature of reality, that it is constantly in flux.
When you say it is constantly in flux, there has to be something that is constantly in flux. There is nothing. There is only the flux. First thing. Secondly, even if you say this, yet when you will look at the sofa, you will not look at it as a flux, as a process. You will look at it as a thing. And that's the Maya, that's the illusion. Does it appear to us as a flow, as a work in progress, as something that is constantly changing? It is constantly changing, obviously, but it does not appear that way. And that is the illusion we fall to. So if one can be in a state where one does not take this as a thing at all, then fine. But that requires a fundamental condition to be met. Before I take this as a no thing, not a thing, but just a flow, I'll have to take this not as a thing. Then no identity can hold, because all identities that we have are based on a certain
Projection of ourselves. We consider ourselves real, that's why we consider worldly things real. So you can't. Wow, what an insight, bro. Let's see. It's a great fucking video.
degree
Sorry.
or a certain assumption of permanence. I am this. Yesterday my name was Prashant. Even today I hold the same name. Yesterday these clothes were fitting well. They do the same thing today. From here you will return to the same place you came from a few hours back. Right? So that's the trap. We take ourselves at least semi-permanent. And when we are in a happy mood, we want to take ourselves as fully permanent. And taking oneself not as an illusory entity, but as something that lasts. It will be very, very difficult to take this sofa which represents the entire world.
First of
As
all, you should consider yourself temporary, yourself illusion. Then only you can see the things and call them illusion. If you can't say that I am the illusion, then you will not be able to say the sofa that you are an illusion.
something that is ephemeral.
Hmm.
So
I hear you. And a small follow on at the back of your book on Maya, it's a very interesting statement. It says, if you want to be free of her, set her free. So I was just very curious because when I think of Maya or false beliefs, I think we are in her grip. And you have overturned that. So can you explain that?
I want to be the same person that I was yesterday so that I can return to the same house that was yesterday. Because I want to own the house, therefore I am obliged to remain the same person I was yesterday. I want to own Maya, the house. But if I want to own Maya, then I must be the same owner that I was yesterday. The house is in the name of Mr. X. If Mr. X realizes that today he is Mr. Y, then he does not own that house anymore, does he? But I want to own that house. I want to keep owning that house. And the house has been registered in the name of Mr. X. So if I want to keep owning the house, I
Then
must
I have
continue
to
to remain
stay.
Mr. X.
Next. Yeah.
Which means that even when X has changed to Y, I must continue to believe I am still X. And that is duality. If I am still X, then the world is still the same thing that was yesterday. So I've accorded the status of truth to the world because my greed made me accord the status of truth to myself. What is truth? By definition, truth is that which has permanence, which lasts. Truth is that which time cannot change.
And you're considering the world to be truth. That means you're considering world to be permanent. And that's a major flaw. I think our ego only does all of these things to get attached to somebody, to get attached to things, to consider, to believe in duality. Yeah.
If time could not change, X, it was X yesterday, it was X today, then X is the truth. But X wants to remain X so that X can enjoy the same pleasures that it enjoyed.
So that you yourself subconsciously deciding to be the same so that you can stay in the illusion. So you yourself want to stay in the illusion because I think in illusion people get temporary pleasure. That I own this house, I'll stay with this woman permanently, I'll stay with this woman, I love this woman my whole life. So yeah.
Yesterday.
Nice.
So we own Maya. And if you own Maya, Maya says, fine. I could have been the force that liberates you.
You are the one who is holding Maya. And in return, Maya is holding you. So it's not that Maya is holding you in the first place. You are the one who is holding Maya in the first place. That's what Acharya Prashant is trying to say.
But instead now I'll become your trap, your prison. Maya acts both ways. Maya एक मिलावे राम से दूजी नरक ले जाए. माया दुई प्रकार की जो जाने सो खाए एक मिलावे राम से और दूजी नरक ले जाए. The same Maya could have been a liberating force that takes you to Ram. Instead, Maya became your bondage.
Yeah.
So, if this is entirely in flux and there's nothing to say that is real, or there's no thing, then what is liberation and who is being liberated if there is no one to be liberated?
You see, why do we need these questions at all? Why is spirituality needed at all? From where does the question of liberation arise? Obviously, firstly, there has to be an acknowledgement of bondage. All spirituality exists because we are in a state of suffering. Had we not been suffering, why do we need to go into our condition and inquire into this and read that and practice that? There was no need. So
If we were free, if we were truly happy, then why do we need to read these self-help books that we are reading nowadays? Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. So we are giving a fuck about things. That's why we are obliged to read books like that. How to be happy. Yeah, so that's true.
once
We are
you
not
see
happy. That's why we are needing to read this book.
that you are suffering, And even if you realize the things that make you suffer, you still cannot leave them.
Yeah, you
You have
still cannot
allowed
leave
those
it.
things to become your master.
Hmm.
Then the word liberation becomes meaningful. I am in bondage. Definitely, I am in bondage. I'm not my own master. I'm following something that is not me.
Hmm.
And what is not me, that is what is called the world.
Hmm.
I have become a slave to the world in a lot of ways. And then you start talking of liberation.
Hmm.
This is not making it clear, right? So please.
Yeah, my question is then who is in bondage? Because as I understand it, the bondage is that you believe that the world is permanent, that it is reliable, like you said, and that it's not in flux. But when you realize that it is, then suddenly the person who you thought was in bondage
Is no more.
is also in flux,
It's
it's no
also in
more.
flux. If you could stay there, you are liberated. But we come to that point only to return to our biological self. We do not stay there. You asked
Hmm.
who is to be liberated? The one who suffers?
Hmm.
Who suffers?
Once you realized that there is the Maya is, Maya is causing suffering. Once you let go of that suffering, then the remaining is the one who is liberated. Don't overcomplicate this. Then who is liberated? Like, eliminate. Liberation is elimination, not the addition. Liberation is elimination from all sorts of fear, all sorts of anxiety, all sorts of suffering. That's it. Full stop here. Don't go beyond that. You'll confuse yourself.
There is somebody who suffers. It's that same entity that
Hmm.
cries for liberation, or that at least needs liberation, even if it does not cry for it.
Hmm.
A lot of us need to be liberated, but do not want to be liberated.
Hmm.
Who is the one to be liberated? The one who suffers. Or the one who suffers,
And
but
and once it is liberated, the one who suffers liberated, then the remaining part is free. And we don't have to name that remaining part. That's what the logic
is so
is.
deeply unconscious that does not even know of his suffering.
Hmm.
In absence of suffering, liberation, emancipation, realization,
Hmm.
mukti, nirvan, none of these words have any meaning.
Hmm.
First of all, there has to be an acknowledgement that there is suffering
Hmm.
and a rebellion against suffering. A
Hmm.
realization that to suffer is not one's lot, that there can be life beyond suffering. And
Yeah.
that's when the journey to liberation begins. If one is well settled with her old ways and suffering has been given decent names, naming matters a lot, does it not? One can name suffering as something else, something beautiful, something respectable. No, it's
Hmm.
not suffering, it's responsibility. No, this is not suffering, this is just ambition. No, 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 not suffering, just attachment. Just attachment. And attachment need not be called as attachment, attachment can be called as love. We are
Hmm.
experts at world play.
That we are getting attached to someone and we are calling it as a love. A love. That no, it's a love. No, bro, you're calling attachment a love, and that's what is creating problem in you. That's why you're suffering in love, because you're calling attachment a love, but in reality, your love is just an attachment. And when there is attachment, there can be no love. It's like contradictory. It's the opposite word. Attachment. The opposite word is love. It's not the synonym of love, but it's the antonym of love.
So I'm not suffering, I'm just in love. And if you are in love, who
Hmm.
wants to get rid of love? So you'll stay in suffering. Had you acknowledged that it's a state of suffering,
Hmm.
then liberation were
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm.
But nobody can.
And then you'll curse love, that love is this and that. No, bro, the thing which you were calling love, it was just an attachment. So first of all, you need to realize that you were attached. You were not in love. You have to go deep into your problems. You're just curing the surface. of a symptom. You're trying to cure symptoms, but that's not how it works.
And be liberated of suffering if one rather says she is in love, or we have so many ornamented words and phrases. So,
Hmm.
we were listening to Matkar Kaya Ko Abhiman. That's what is duality. O Saramoti. It appears beautiful.
Hmm.
You want to believe it is permanent, but it's like the morning star. Just as you begin to believe in it, it vanishes. O Saramoti.
Hmm.
And it doesn't take much to make it disappear.
Hmm.
A little bit of wind, change of seasons,
Hmm.
change of perspective, change of mood,
Wow.
and the world is
Yeah.
gone. What do I mean by the world? Do I mean that as perspective changes,
World is duality.
this tree will disappear? No, your relationship with the tree will change.
Hmm.
There is no tree. There is only your relationship with the tree. And if you don't have a relationship, there is no tree at all.
Wow.
As you sit there, is there a tree? Please tell me. As you sit there, is there a tree? There is no tree, because as you sit there, you don't have a relationship with it.
Hmm.
So it's not as if the physical entity called the world is projected by the self. No, not physically, but psychologically.
Mentally, psychologically.
The thing, that's a Vedantic fundamental, the thing is its relationship that it has with you. And if there is no relationship, there is no thing.
Hmm.
So world is
Wow. 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 I would like to, use example to explain this. So you consider a person, right? You like जब हम स्टेशन पे जा रहे हैं तो हम कितने लोगों को आते जाते देख रहे हैं, क्या वो हमारे लिए एग्जिस्ट करते हैं? एक साइकोलॉजिकल तौर पे बात कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? दिख रहे हैं वो, हाँ वो एग्जिस्ट करते, देखने में एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या वो हमारे लिए साइकोलॉजिकली एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं? नहीं कर रहे हैं ना। अब सोचो कि जब तुम एक आदि एक इंसान को जानने लगते हो, तब वो अचानक से हमारे साइकोलॉजिकल स्पेस में आ जाता है और वहीं से सफरिंग भी चालू होती है। अगर तुम किसी को जानते ही नहीं तो तुम्हारे लिए वो साइकोलॉजिकली नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट होगा, वो आदमी, पर्सन। ये बात हो रही है कि तुम्हें साइकोलॉजिकल जो तुम रिलेशनशिप बनाते हो वो बंद करना है, तुम्हें उससे मुक्ति पानी है, साइकोलॉजिकल रिलेशनशिप से, तभी तुम फ्री हो पाओगे। नहीं तो वो साइकोलॉजिकल रिलेशनशिप में क्या होगा कि अब तुमने जब एक रिलेशनशिप बना लिया उससे, तो फिर एक्सपेक्टेशन जुड़ेगी, फिर तुम अटैच्ड हो गए उससे, और यही मुक्ति है। इसी से मुक्ति पाना ही लिबरेशन है, निर्वाणा। गौतम बुद्ध, यही बात है, गौतम बुद्ध यही बोल रहे थे।
ephemeral, means the relationships are baseless. They can collapse in a moment. Today something,
किसी से बात हुई, अच्छी बात हुई, 5 दिन अच्छे से बात हुई, उसके बाद टूट गई, कुछ झगड़ा हो गया, खत्म हो गया, तो तुम फर्स्ट प्लेस में देखो ना, तुमने साइकोलॉजिकल डिपेंडेंसी रिलेशनशिप बनाई क्यों?
appears so important, next moment it is gone. How can that happen? That fundamentally means that whatever you thought of it in the first place was very misplaced.
wrong.
And why? Because whatever we think of ourselves in the first place is badly misplaced. Because we don't have the right eyes, therefore we cannot see anything clearly. So getting rid of duality is not so much about inquiring into the world. First of all, it is about inquiring into one's
Yourself.
own mind, one's own beliefs. What do I live with? What am I so confident about? The object of my confidence, will it really pass the test when it comes to it? Or am I depending upon something that will betray me, or is constantly betraying me without me knowing it?
Yeah, you're constantly betrayed by the world, and you're not seeing this pattern. And you're again and again falling into this trap, and this is causing you suffering. So first of all, you need to inquire in yourself that why am I falling into this trap, in this pattern? So first of all, you need to see that there is a pattern which is going into my life, which is causing suffering. Once you recognize pattern, then you can try to resolve it.
Not that the saints want to make us suspicious and circumspect about everything in life, just that because they really loved life,
Hmm.
therefore they wanted to live it to the fullest.
Hmm.
They didn't want it in
They
a
don't. They didn't want any suffering to exist. That is why they inquired. They scrutinized every aspect of our mind and came up with these principles, theories.
in a lukewarm kind of way. They didn't want to live a life full of hurt and wounds and regrets
Hmm.
and so on.
Just like poet shires lives, like they glorify suffering, they romanticize suffering, but that's not how one should live. Because it may be temporarily feel good that I'm going through so many things, but if you'll see in long term, then it is destroying your mental health.
Because they wanted so much. Hence, they
Hmm.
went to the extent of pointing at even the smallest flaws in our
Hmm.
perception. If I really love to have great tea, then I'll look at this and I'll say no, 99.9% great, but still there is something left. But if
Hmm.
I'm just taking it in for formality's sake, then anything goes. A saint is one who loves life to such a great extent that he
Yeah.
will not allow himself to be satisfied
Yeah,
with even
he will not ignore anything in life. He will not ignore any pattern which is destructive in nature in life. He will scrutinize life.
99.9% of what is possible.
Hmm.
He says, I have to
Hmm.
cover the complete journey. If something is possible, who am I to deny myself?
Hmm.
Super ambitious
Wow.
fellows. They'll not stop at anything short of Ram. You give them this, that, no. Only the absolute would do. Nothing short of absolute is okay with me.
Hmm.
And anything that prevents me from reaching and being the absolute, I have no affection for. I'll drop it.
Hmm.
Are we connecting? Too fast, too
Wow.
abstract, or whatever.
Wow. What a deep video it was. Like, I really need to watch this again and again to, get hold of every aspect of this video. Like, it was such a insightful video for me. Like, the concept of duality. And when Acharya Prashant got into the details of duality and how we are, suffering from it, like, it was very insightful. And I really enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you guys do like my reactions. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Till then, good.